a fuel pump replacement. 99 pre-face. You can tell by the kind of clip it has. It's a pre-face. It's just a general tip. It seems like with all the pre-faces they're round, like an old Lucas style. With post face it's more square plugs, and you can pretty much see that throughout the car, the difference. So this is the beginning. So instead of wasting time on useless stuff, so basically I took out the carpet, I cleaned it up because I just hate working in dirty cars. And the tip why it's good to clean up your project is, we're gonna get right into the meat of things. This clip right here, see the way it's made with these prongs like this. If you look at it, you'll notice that you have to dig right in there to get it out. So why didn't you clean it up? Is because you'll never realize, you'll never see that you gotta have a special approach to this if this whole thing is covered in dust and dirt, which my car did. All this garbage right here, I vacuumed and I vacuumed, and it's still a crap load. Anyways, so cleaned it up. As you saw in the previous clip, I made myself comfortable here, put a towel over the paint so I don't scratch the bumper. Cleaned it up, helps out a lot. So I didn't have a special tool to get this out, so I looked around the garage, and whoop-de-doo, look at this. This is a paint can opener for large big paint cans to paint houses and stuff or whatever. So this right here, it's a little bit wide, but if you take the time, if you don't rush, if you do it right, it goes in like this, and slowly you get this one out of the place, and then you follow up with another one, and this just easily pops off. See, I didn't break nothing. So we're gonna go. So again, this is the old. I know it's cleaned up. It almost looks like. Oh yeah, forgot. The obvious and the basic is safety. And as far as safety goes, the only thing that's important is disconnect your battery. So a couple of things. These right here, these are the worst to take off. These took me the longest to so far to take these off. These are just be careful not to rip the plastic, but that's all I'm gonna talk about because I start cussing. This is annoying. That is that. As far as taking these off right here, they're tough because you got all that travel right here, and it takes to bake. You know, it gets baked on. So just carefully and slowly. What I did is press and squeeze, press and squeeze, press and squeeze until it snapped. You know, I got off the baking part, and then I just slid it out. Same way here. Press and squeeze, kind of like the 3 effect, until it's kind of snaps off the baking, and then you just slide it out like this. And there's some fuel, obviously. Just clean that's why a rag is always a good idea to have. And the reason we have to take these off is obviously we need to take these off, this one off. You know, I'm sure there's a fancy special tool for this that's 50-60 bucks, but just your big screwdriver right here, and you just kind of hit each one. Don't just hit one area, because you'll never snap it, you'll never get it off the baking, you know, because you know how things get baked on. For some who don't know what I'm talking about, is you hit each one until it snaps off, and then you just slowly rotate it as you hit with a hammer. I got one on this hammer right here, and it works. And let's see, you know, right here, see? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these out of the way, take this off. Couple things. There's one more thing that I forgot to mention, is the direction of the lines. You know, it's just common sense. You're just going to have to remember. Blue is in. That's just my personal marking because the lettering on this is not so blue, so I just remember, make a note that blue is in based on the arrow. And this one's out, so and this one's more rusty. And another mental point is the arrow pointing that way when I put things back. So I took off this, and we're gonna get a sneak peek at what's going on inside. At this point it starts to smell like gasoline, but here's what I got to deal with. I got a couple of this right here to take off. Let's see, this item to take off, and those electrical wires to take off. Obviously submerged in fuel. This is why it's important to disconnect the power, because if anything, things will go kaboom. If you don't disconnect the battery, that is. So basically I'm gonna try to, again, recap, take those electrical plugs off if you can't see, which you should be able to see. And this fancy thing, I'm going to hang on to this because it's a long one, it's more flexible than the other one, and this plug is a pain to take off. So that's 3 reasons why I am not going to take this fuel line off. I believe that's the return, because I was told this is a returnless line, but in any case, this is a returnless fuel system. But whatever the case, let's see. So far so good. If you can see right there. Okay. Oh, and it dropped off. Well, I'll catch it there. But dang it. I was gonna show you how you just pry that off. See these things right here? And kind of give you an idea of how to pry that off. You just have to slowly kind of go like this and twist it at an angle, and it'll come off, and then do the same thing on the opposite side, and it's the same idea on the back side. And this is how it pops off. So have a good flashlight. Wipe your fingers down so they're not butterfingers, so nothing falls in, if you know what I mean. So a couple of problems. First off, if you look down, you'll notice the problem. The pump is positioned at an angle inside the tank. Obviously, this is why it's not an American car. It's a European car. Have a good flashlight, and let's take a look. I want to see if I can take you in there. Obviously it's messy and cluttery, but if you have enough to look at, you'll see what you're dealing with. That's about I think just below the half a tank. It's clean in this inside. My flashlight is not that powerful. The battery is weak. A couple things to watch out for. See those 2 bolts? Those 2 wires? you don't want to rip them using this fancy tool that I just bought. 30 bucks at Amazon. Last one I bought. Yeah, and I got the last one. Yeah. Couple things about this tool. Take a look if you can. I only have two hands. Look at that notch right there. That is the edge of the pump frame, and this tool does not actually sit. You have to actually place it and hold it in. Those notches are just to be in there like a fork, and that's it. In other words, I was hoping if I could just sit the tool on it so it's actually positioned. No, it doesn't work that way. I'll show you the tool a little bit later, but for now, basically I'm going to have to turn it counterclockwise until it's loose. I tried it by hand, you know, obviously, the Russian style, and this thing is not coming out. So, and I don't want to snap my hands and rip those wires. That's what I do not want, because I'll be in deep. Okay. Good news. I barely, well, I was pointing a flashlight instead of the camera, but I barely went like this, twisted, and it just rotated. It basically, it came off those little, the fixture basically, it came off. So now, and the Harbor Freight tool right here, now I'm gonna at least show you my struggle of getting this thing. I mean, nobody wants to see struggle. Everyone wants to see a nice little fucking victory in the good old American style. So that's the tool. That's the old ring. My little guitar string. No, it's a fishing line, fuckers. Okay, so let's see if I can demonstrate. That'll tell you it's loose. So I had to throw things back in there so I have room to get the pump out. As you can see, the diameter is almost identical to the diameter of this. So that's the cradle where it sits in. And my battery is going weak and I'm pissed. I did not prepare for that. And that, if I'm not mistaken, are metal stuff. If I have a magnet and I can soak it in there, put it at the bottom, at least I should be able to get the ferrous stuff out of there. This is a 20-pound neodyme magnet. And yes, I stuck my hand in gasoline. Whoop-de-doo. So there was garbage at the bottom. So I was able to, I took this off my oil filter, by the way. And see all this little stuff right here? think I'm satisfied with this solution. I was able to pull all the garbage from the bottom of that basket. So this is the box it came, this one right here. This is the new pump. So this is where the work is going to be. Get these on, and I'm going to have to get new crimps for this. And yeah, this right here, it came with it. I'm thinking it's for the older models or the newer models. I'm just gonna, what I took out is what I'm gonna put in. I looked inside. It doesn't look like, I think it goes for the older models. I'll put everything back in there. 7 mil, 8 mil, and the new one has like a see-through clear cap on it, so kind of pay attention, you know, don't just put that on there with that on there, because you're not going to have any fuel. It's this thing right here. So I'm not going to use expensive dump crimps. I'm just use conventional one. They tighten better. If you get a struggle of putting it on or whatever, you can put some motor oil on it just to slide things on. So I think pretty much wraps it up. Oh, there's also the, you know, the topic of, you know, what are the possibilities of just replacing the pump itself, which is right there. It's doable. I mean, let's look at the old one. But if you look close, you're gonna have one hell of a time to get that off, and who knows what kind of fancy tools or what kind of tools it requires, because obviously we don't want to break anything, because you don't want this thing to wobble, especially if you like to drive hard. You don't want this thing to wobble. Here's a close zoom in, if my camera zooms in. This is the cap it came, but I think, again, I'm trying to figure out, this is the one I'm going to stick to. It's already on there. This one is different. Well, at this point, basically, it's reverse, so everything's going to go back in. We're talking about this filter. I'm going to stick with this one, even though this one looks identical in the back, but it's actually not. So screw that. I think it's probably for the, who knows what, if the option, oh, if it was torn or whatever. In any case, here I'm going to grease these up a bit so it slides nicely, and I'm going to clean it up here. These go back in, plug to the sender. In fact, I probably shouldn't have even taken it off, but I wasn't aware what's come off and what doesn't. So yeah, this one you don't even have to take off. This is the one that's got a T design to it. So getting it back on there, it's a bit pain. The first time, most likely you won't get it on. You're gonna have to play with it. It's getting those 3 notches in place so that you can turn using that tool. I tried by hand, trust me, it won't turn. You have to use that tool to turn it. It doesn't take much, it's just a little turn and that's it. Maybe a 1-inch turn. Actually more like a 1/2 inch, because the width of that notch. Those notches, they're about 1/2 inch long. So so the pump is in there. Everything is in there, you know. Wires are plugged. One remaining wire is this right here. Before I put it in, that's another good reason to keep it clean around here, is because you really don't want dirt go in there while you're in the process of putting that in, because sleeves, hands, you never know what ends up being in there. So yeah, keep it clean around here during the installation process. And so I'll be last thing left would be basically this wire, get the lines back in. I put that one back in there, so the plugs are nothing to worry about. And as I was saying earlier, these arrows help out with the rest, so we'll touch base on that later. Almost forgot. This was in the way, and talk about a pain to slide in that pump when this diameter is the diameter of that pipe, and this thing's in the way, and this thing is stubborn as shit. So yeah, I had to force it in there and hide it so I can have a proper, you know. And plus this hose is in the way. I mean, keep in mind this is close quarters here, so everything has to just slide in nice to avoid messing this up, right? You have to consider this as well, because these are wires. Yeah, just, I mean, that's why I don't rush in this particular job. I'm guessing it's going to take you maybe 2 hours, tops 3 hours, especially if you're not doing a video. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing this up, is because I forgot this one was hiding. So I'm gonna plug that in. Oh yeah, something about this I really want to show you, so you guys see what exactly this is. So that way you'll have an idea how to take it off. Surprise, I forgot to mention about this seal that I bought, which is I've been recommended to have because the old ones gets it shrinks, and it basically fails. But I forgot to put it on, so I mean, it's okay if you forget. Yeah, I just wrapped it around here, pulled it across. I was able to, it's ribbed, so you have to like work it in and have it set so it sits like right on it the way it's supposed to. So, and snug, so now we can actually work this baby in here like so. Remember that arrow pointing that way? That's the arrow we want to, and this being snug, which is good, that's what we want. Just want to make sure nothing's in the way and everything is right. Just like I was saying, the blue one was in, this one gray one was for out. This car apparently seen some rust in its day, so what I did is I put some bearing grease, high temp bearing grease here, just overachieving kind of crap, preventative, so to speak. So plugged in, tightened up. Don't need much tightening here, but just, I mean, it's metal, so it's good to, it can handle it. So it's good to, now it's time to put everything back in. Oh yeah, and this is the old one. Something about those grooves. See this right here? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the old sucker. Not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but see this right here? On the Avant, that's how you're going to get see the carpet here to here. The carpet folds, but this stays in one place and is secured from here, and uses this bracket here. If you have an Avant, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't have an Avant, ignore this part. Along this line there's a pad here that gets secured to these. Okay, so boom, done. A couple things about the tools. You'll need, this is to get the pump unscrewed from the housing. A bunch of these, and this is to get those crimps off, those Audi crimps. This and this is to get the wires off the pump itself. This and this is to tap out the top ring, the very first ring that you start to unscrew, the big one, the one that's got ribbed on it, the ribs, whatever you call it. This obviously goes to here. This is the old pump. Grease, clean the stuff. Yeah, clean your area, because you don't want to contaminate the tank in the process. This is the old seal, and flashlight, and this is to get that first connector off, the very first one that you get to take off.